Now to the Comey arraignment. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane and former federal prosecutor Scott Fredericksen join me now at the table. Scott number one, Scott M.
Number one. Sorry, man.
So we slid that right in there.
Well deserved.
I'm very savvy that way. Scott one. What happened today? You were there.
It was quick. It was invisible to the public because, of course, in federal courts, there's no cameras, there's no audio devices, there's no cell phones. So this piece of history happened just to the people who laid eyes on it in the 6th floor of the federal courthouse in Virginia. James Comey gave a small smile when he entered the courtroom, stood stoic, expressionless during these proceedings. At one point, the judge asked, "Do you understand the charges against him?" And he said, "Yes, I understand them." The 2 not guilty pleas are entered. He's going to be back in court with a motion to dismiss this case by October 20th. The defense attorney said in so many words they think this is a vindictive prosecution. That's one of the motions they're going to file, and they'll do it by a week from Monday.
There's also a motion to file regarding the appointment of the U.S. attorney who brought the indictment. Scott, evaluate the 2 of those potential challenges to the very indictment itself, quite separate from the trial.
Yeah, that's right. It's based on the statute, which allows an interim U.S. attorney to be appointed for 120 days. In this case, that was the predecessor to the present U.S. attorney who stepped in, and got the indictment. This has been the basis of 2 successful challenges already, one in New Jersey, one in Nevada, where appointed U.S. attorneys had not received confirmation from the U.S. Senate, as required, and they went beyond the 120 days. The administration has tried a few different ways to extend that, and they've lost. And so this is one of the motions that will be filed challenging the indictment because Lindsay Halligan signed it, saying she was illegally appointed. Interesting, the judge today is going to refer that to the chief judge of the 4th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals to make that decision.
Okay, what about the vindictive prosecution approach?
Now we're getting into the real meaty stuff here because Mr. Fitzgerald, counsel for Mr. Comey, came right out of the box. In fact, it was apparent. It seemed like it was the defense who was leading the battle here, not the government. It's usually the opposite. Indeed, the government seemed to stub their toe when they said, this is a complex case and we're, not quite ready. You don't say that if you're walking in.
You don't come to court and say we're not ready.
I served there before becoming a special prosecutor, and I'd have a call to my boss by the time I got back if I had said that. But on the other hand, Mr. Fitzgerald said, this is a case brought by the president, President Trump. We're going to file vindictive prosecution. I think you'll see other things. Prosecutorial misconduct. I think they'll seek to bring a motion about potential misconduct in the grand jury. Because remember, strangely enough, this new U.S. attorney only got 2 out of the 3 counts she sought before the grand jury. Very unusual.
Scott, the composition of those representing the federal government was interesting in itself. In that courtroom, there were attorneys from North Carolina. Why?
Those are not familiar faces to this judge because the new U.S. attorney appointed days ago has never argued in that court before. Lindsay Halligan. She brought on 2 attorneys who are from a different district in America, from North Carolina. An indication there were nobody else in the Eastern District of Virginia who could stand with her and make this case to this judge. That's going to be a big red flag, I would believe, to Judge Michael Nachmanoff, a 2021 appointee of President Biden. This charging document that has been submitted, that was not added to today, is a 1.5 pages long. It is boilerplate. It is bare bones. Very little. It is shorter than the kids' menu at the restaurant. I mean, this thing is 2 or 3 paragraphs. And I think the judge is already flagging that as an issue if they're going to argue in the prosecution that this is a complex case that needs time.
Because that suggests possibly to the judge they don't have their things together at the federal prosecutorial level. And for a case of this gravity, one would think they would.
Well, of course. And if you look at the indictment, there's already mistakes in this indictment. That should have been cleaned up with a superseding indictment before they walked in this morning.
Scott, you were on our program a couple of days ago imagining that there might be a superseding indictment to do that very thing, clean up the mistakes.
Yeah, and that would have to happen presumably in short order because the timetable's pretty aggressive here. I mean, not uniquely aggressive, but they have a trial date on the calendar for January 5th, getting close to the end of the year here. They have some other deadlines in November and December. There's a finite period of time for them to try to file a superseding indictment, but it feels like one's inevitable considering how little is in the initial charging document.
Scott MacFarlane, Scott number one. Scott Fredericksen, super number one.
Super number one.
Thank you both. Appreciate it.